It's a spooky boy.
And we're back with another episode of Bones and Tubs. It is the middle of October, and thus begins our series of spooky episodes.
And then we'll check with the lawyer, but I'm pretty sure we can still say spooky. You know?
So, welcome back to the Bones and Tubs podcast. I am Tubbs.
I'm Bones.
And we're here to give you information to listen to and understand, and maybe go out on your own and do some research yourself.
Give you stuff to do while you're driving the car.
Exactly.
Working.
Yeah.
Sitting. Laying. All the things you might do as a human being.
It depends on how you like to listen to us.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes in a bathtub with a bath bomb. Maybe a mason jar with moonshine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good on that, but...
I'm just saying. You know.
Yeah. Someone else might want to do that, though.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. But
chase your bliss, I guess.
I guess. But we're here on this nice, cool October. It's fall has finally arrived.
Yeah, comfortably wearing a hoodie.
Yeah, fall. I think you said it yesterday. Fall kind of came in like a.
Heard you was talking shit.
Yeah, came through like a angry individual, ready to enact justice upon us for talking shit about him not arriving yet.
Street justice.
Yeah, but no, we're here today. It's a nice day. And we're going to talk today about basically like satanic cults, satanic murder, true crime kind of stuff today, you know?
Yeah.
Like get into that real stuff. I mean, we're going to talk about, more airy philosophical aspects of it too. But we will get into some nitty gritty details of some known satanic cults and their clandestine sacrificial rituals and abuse.
Yeah. This is your first time listening. Get ready for some Tarantino. It's what we do. We hop around.
We're unorganized.
It's probably something mental. It's like a diagnosable disease. Later on, they'll look back in history and be like, yeah,
yeah,
those guys had that.
It's called, well, I think most modern psychologists call it ADHD, but...
That's fine.
That's here nor there.
I don't buy into their bullshit. Ooh, light. Lamp.
Nah, don't be another NPC, as they say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty sure you coined that.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. I'm going to take a creative license on this. But here's the thing, though. I might have coined it, but somebody else had to simultaneously come up with the idea.
Yeah.
Like it happened in almost like... I thought of it, and then somebody else did, but they did the smart thing, and they actually put it out into the universe, into the internet, so that other people could enjoy it, except me, who just like introduced it to my small circle of people.
Yeah. About
the notion, if you don't know, it's NPC stands for non-playable character, correct?
Yeah, non-player character.
Non-player character, yeah. And it's like, if you've ever played any like role-playing game or like Fallout or the Elder Scrolls or anything like that, it's a character that only has a set amount of speech options, and they usually like run the risk of being kind of one-dimensional, right? Representing some organization or group, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there was somebody at the Factory of Sadness who I said, I'm pretty sure they were an NPC, and this was about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you go outside of their, like, comfortable speech zone, they, like, that person kind of just, like, disregarded, like, oh, I don't know about that.
Well, they fall back onto whatever they're scripted into talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
What do you think about the Federal Reserve System and how they've been stealing all of our wealth for the last, 100 years?
Yeah.
I like deer hunting. Now, I like to hunt deer. That's what I do, hunt deer. And buy wives from overseas.
Yeah. So, and now it's a meme.
Yeah. That
there are NPCs everywhere, and both sides are accusing the other side of being NPCs, which I think is funny because I think both sides have their own NPCs. Whether it be a liberal NPC or a conservative NPC, you get it on both sides. They exist in both political spheres. You know what I mean?
As if I needed further proof that this is some type of matrix. Or like a illusion, yeah.
Like they just repeat the same things over and over again.
Storyline.
Of course the memes have been extra thousand.
It's kind of like, what was that show? Westworld. So I wonder if he has a higher tier quest we can go on, the one you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, that means we have to scalp him.
Yeah, find out.
See the little man maze on the inside of his scalp.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Okay, well.
That's the only way to do it.
See what we're doing after I win that lottery tomorrow.
Yeah, right? Wait, it's today, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. It is today.
Shit, I need to buy a ticket.
$650 million.
If you all of a sudden like notice, like say next week that the production value of the podcast has gone up exponentially.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: even if one of us won that money, we're doing the podcast.
This is
still.
our full-time job now.
Yeah, as I say, we just have this to do now.
Right.
So I'd probably build a mush fake fucking radio station, and then we'd just be on the air all the time.
Yeah.
Wow, giving you all those hits here on WBNT.
Yeah, there you go.
And then you got we have the chorus singers like WBNT, Preble County,
affiliated with WBJ.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, like if we won that, here's the thing: if one of us wins the money, we've both won the money theoretically.
Yeah, we're actually just one person in two bodies for the most part.
Did you like that video that Facebook gave to me and then I gave to the world?
It gave me an emotional erection. One of those heart boners.
Facebook informed me today.
We've been monitoring your communications together for 8 years.
I said 11 years.
Oh, 11.
We've been friends on Facebook for 11 years, and I was like, that's how long we've been friends. I was like, we've been friends a lot longer than that. You just didn't know it.
Before the control grid was put in place.
Yeah. Before the before time. Back, I mean, this is before MySpace we were friends.
Yeah.
LiveJournal.
Back when you left and you went into ether.
Like, this is, we've been friends since before, this tells you how old we are. We've been friends since before Messenger.
Yeah.
LiveJournal.
Before a mobile phone that had Snake on it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Before we even had mobile phones. Yeah. Well, there was mobile phones, but those were for rich people.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, then they didn't get any reception anyways, and you couldn't send a text message.
No, I'm pretty sure you could cook eggs with them, too, for how much radiation they baked your brain with.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Same as today, really.
Yeah, no big deal.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, not much in the news cycle, but I think that means that
something big this way comes.
As I say, yeah, usually, that usually means that something big's about to happen. But
still haven't got our October surprise yet.
Yeah,
that normally happens, in October, which we've got 15 days left.
I say the only thing I saw news-wise in the last couple of days was that defamation lawsuit was dropped against
Stormy Daniels.
Yeah. Against Trump from Stormy Daniels.
So she has to pay for all those attorney fees now, right?
Yeah.
She better get to sucking, son.
Well, no, she had her GoFundMe page.
Oh, okay.
People were funding her, so I saw people jovially mocking the left today because they're like, "You're paying Trump, with your money now."
How does it feel?
But I don't really care either way about it.
No.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
I don't have a way to feel about it.
I was disappointed in her when I firstly I did not know who she was, and then when I looked up her greater body of work, I was let down.
Yeah,
it's whatever.
She's kind of an NPC porn star,
Yeah, that's fine.
Not really anything nothing that separates her from the rest of the herd.
She's all milk. There's no meat there.
Well, I mean, really, have you ever watched a porn where they delve deeply into esoteric thought?
Yes.
It's
called Stepmother and son have to share a bed.
Oh my god!
It doesn't matter because it's always the same storyline. They're always going to visit the aunt, and they had to get a hotel room. There's only one room, and it only had one bed, and a problem rises.
I bet it does. Yeah, it reminded me of a joke I heard the other day that I chuckled at, and that was that somebody's like, "Yeah, you use Grindr to make friends, like I use Pornhub to find out if the plumber fixed the sink."
Oh yeah, that's funny shit. I saw that while I was driving the other day. It almost ended it all.
True story.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So today we were going to talk about was it Narcosatanism?
The Narcosatanists.
Narcosatanists.
Mm-hmm.
The Ripper Crew.
Oh yeah.
And that it's all about Satanism in its final form.
See, here's the thing, and when I'm talking about Satanism here, I'm not talking about bush fake Anton LaVey Satanism.
Yeah.
Where it was it's kind of cheesy and gaudy.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah, well, yeah, hollow is what it is.
Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, because you look at Anton LaVey and he's clown shoes.
Yeah, yeah.
Motherfucker wore all black and he had a black house in fucking San Francisco Bay Area. And he wore little devil horns, and he had his little fucking mustachio, goatee. Like,
they moved their base of operations, their central office. They moved it from California to New York to be taken seriously.
Oh, did they now?
Yeah. But I think I'm going to go off on my quick little tangent here. We're going to talk about fake Satanism. I'm going to read you an application to the Church of Satanism. We're going to talk about what they really are. And then before we get into the meat of the show, I'd like to tell you what the actual, what do you want to call it? The boss. The actual bad guy. I want to tell you about them.
Yeah.
Then we'll get into the stories.
Copy.
You like that?
I like that.
So, now if you are listening to Bones and Tubs podcast and you are like either of us or anyone else in society, I'm sure when you hear Satanism, images in your mind are conjured of, inverted pentagrams, perhaps Baal, maybe like a goat-headed
Baphomet
hermaphrodite
kind of thing.
Yeah. People in black robes worshiping the archetypal Satan from Christianity.
Blood sacrifices and whatnot.
All that, yeah. But that's all pageantry. That's not, I'm sure that's going on, but that's not what's real.
Yeah.
That's fake. And, let's see. That, in my opinion, it's all designed that way. If you look at the Church of Satan website, they have these picture slideshows on the top, and it's all that dark theater, And that's what they want you to think it is. And if you look further into it, their tenets and beliefs, they actually claim to not believe in a god or a devil.
Yeah, they're like kind of atheists, aren't they?
Atheists, and they try to kind of pander towards doing whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt other people. So they claim sort of an anarchist-style belief system. Now, that's all window dressing, because if you read further into their application process, it tells you, under no circumstances should anyone seeking membership or information into the Church of Satan be allowed to talk to members. So you're only given what they give the public.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that tells me that it's all facade, right? Now, if you want to go deeper beneath the surface into what really encompasses the Church of Satan, it's not people in black robes. It's not, it's none of those things that they try and tell you it is.
Yeah.
Really, it's men and women in suits. It's people in every walk of life. Garbage man, businessman, banker. They're in every facet of society. This is factual. And the idea behind the modern Church of Satanism is spreading ignorance amongst the population, creating a solipsistic worldview for other people to involve themselves in, while maintaining sobriety and the common goal of increasing the power and control of Satanism as a collective throughout the world. And it's not just white people. That's silly. That's another kind of belief, too, that it's just a bunch of white folks. It's every color, creed, nationality, everything that you could imagine. And they're all of one hive mind in order to, like I said, increase the collective power. And they're a growing, massive organization. The Church of Satanism, as it is portrayed, is designed as a magnet, in my opinion, to attract the psychopath, the people in society that reject the notions of Christianity or modern society as it is, and have a psychopathic sort of mindset or tendency. And then from that lower level group, it's an initiation, I guess you could say, into the upper level occult orders. Okay, so the Church of Satan application process. They ask you your typical things you would expect. Name, mailing address, phone, email, gender, place of birth, height, weight, color of eyes, color of hair, marital status, name, birth date, birthplace of spouse, number of children, previous religious affiliations and offices, nationality, ethnic background, current citizenship, educational background and degrees, present occupation, special interests, talents, abilities, hobbies, or collections. And then you have a box at the bottom, whether or not you are interested in serving as a public representative. So, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And then they start to get into the questions that will go in with your psyche to kind of tell them where you're at mentally. What are your impressions of the Satanic Bible? What do you expect to accomplish through membership in the Church of Satan? If you were granted 3 wishes, what would they be? What is your attitude towards animals? If you have any pets, describe them. What is your ideal pet? Are you satisfied with your sex life? Describe your ideal of a physically attractive sex partner. What is your life's goal? What steps have you taken to attain it? Do you find any of our tenets objectionable? If so, which and why? How many years would you like to live? What are your musical tastes? Provide examples. Cite 4 motion pictures you consider your favorites and why. What are your food preferences? Cite 4 books you consider your favorites and why. If you own an automobile, describe it. What is your ideal automobile? As a child, what were your favorite pastimes? What was your disposition? Of what country, other than the one in which you now reside, would you prefer to be a resident? And it just goes on and on. Thoroughly mapping the psyche of the initiate.
Nice.
Now, if you watch any Passio, which we've talked about him a lot, he's a definite rabbit hole to go down, but he'll go into much greater detail than either of us will. Because he was awarded the level of priest in the Church of Satan before he turned it down. But he goes on to talk about, like, the Club of Rome. I'm trying to think. What are some of the other think tanks? CFR?
Yeah.
Council on Foreign Relations. All these, like, think tank groups that direct government policy, these are actual upper-level Satanist groups.
So, like, this is kind of like, in the grand scheme of things, like, you go to the Church of Satan website and look at all that shit. That's more like, kind of like front porch Satanists.
Yeah.
Right.
Porch Satanists. Once you get in the door and you're in the pool, that's where they can tell through your actions, your interactions, your fucking psyche.
If you're ready for the real shit.
Yeah.
Or you need to just go ahead and keep representing the group for the public.
At the base level.
Yeah. So that we don't.
But if they get somebody in there
confused.
with, the right type of mindset for a certain job, they're going to move them up.
It's like the public relations branch of the Church of Satan. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, to try to kind of like make people think that they're, not fucking doing some nefarious shit.
Right.
Like, no, we're just a group of regular people who think, like, there's these tenets. And, like, if you look at their tenets and shit like that, any normal human being would look at these and be like, yeah, I agree with those too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the thing about them. Like, I totally, like, wow, I must be a Satanist then.
Well, that's the thing, too. Everything's been so much has changed in society to where most people identify unknowingly with Satanist ideology. Like the one we always talk about, moral relativism. Probably the latest thing that each of us has woken up out of. The idea of, like, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Yeah. Trying to say that there's no natural morality.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what you slide into if you don't think about it.
That there's no baseline good and evil.
No natural law.
Exactly.
And that's what, at the upper levels, the boss, if you will, that's what they know. They know to be true. They know the natural laws. And that's what they use. The actual fucking elephant in the room, the ones they don't want you to know about, you can find them under the name of Dark Luciferianists. Dark Luciferianism. It is the perversion of the conveyance of spiritual knowledge. Dark Luciferians could be considered a superclass of the worldwide satanic network, who would hold even higher knowledge about how natural law really works, and yet have rejected the reality in favor of attempting to reign in hell. These dark occult elitists are ultimately those who have been controlling humanity through exploitation of occult knowledge for tens of thousands of years. This deranged and parasitic ideology could also be referred to as Dark Atanism, Satanism, or Cult of the Black Sun. And they're the ones behind the
real shit.
Behind the curtain, if you will. So now that we've laid down that thorough framework, we could talk about the activities of the lower level psychopaths
who choose to represent Satanism
in
their own fucked up way.
While the church can deny them because they say we don't take part in those kind of things.
Like, these people don't represent us at all.
They don't do that.
So I think the first one I wanted to talk about was the Ripper Crew.
Man.
The Chicago Ripper Crew, to be more precise.
I did not know anything about them until you told me about them.
Yeah. 4 individuals were part of the Ripper Crew. The leader of them, his name was Robin Gecht.
Yes.
Right. They called him the Godfather. Right. So
was he the business owner?
He actually worked for the contracting facility that was actually owned by serial killer John Wayne Gacy. He was contracted out.
What the fuck's going on in Chicago?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because aren't they both Chicago natives? And their activities took place in Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So they were a group of American Satanists, right? They were killers.
Yeah.
They killed. They raped. They ate. And they had a tendency to... they had tendency towards younger women.
Yeah.
Like non-legal women.
Yeah.
And they were necrophiliacs too.
Were they also were involved in the that one base act of destroying the sacred feminine? Was it Gecht himself that was involved in the obsession with breasts?
Yeah, so like basically their MO was they were going out and they were finding young prostitutes and collecting them, right?
Yeah.
And then they would ritualistically torture them. Like, beat them, cut them with a knife, shit like that.
Yeah.
And then they would garrote one of their breasts off. Mm-hmm. Okay, and anybody out there that doesn't know what that means.
Piano wire.
Piano wire or some sharp...
Steel wire. Or something along those lines. It's just something... It's a thin piece of strong material. Yeah.
Right? And then you simply, wrap it around something, and then you pull the two ends until they come apart again in a straight line. Mm-hmm. I.e. garrote. Garroting has been something that's gone on for a long time.
Yeah.
But they would garrote the breast off, and then they would ejaculate on the... They would, group ejaculate onto the severed breast of their victim.
I read in an interview with the detectives that Robert Gecht talked about his love. It started with his wife, I guess. He would make her put needles in the side of her breast while they were doing the act. And then it furthered into the prostitutes. I think there were two of the prostitutes that they had interviewed, two that lived. And they said that they would cut them on the side of the breast, and then he would fuck the hole. Like, what the fuck is going on in your head, Mr. Gecht?
This is a PSA by your good old pal Tubbs. For all you ladies out there.
Insert PSA. Music.
If a man ever wants to put a pin or needle in your tit, while you're in the act of coitus,
run.
Yeah, get out as fast as you humanly can.
Yeah, because there's some extra shit going on in that dude's head.
And if you're already in a committed relationship where the individual likes to put pins or needles in your breast,
I'm going to say anywhere.
I would say stop what you're doing right now if you're listening to the show.
Yeah.
Get up and inconspicuously grab your car keys or whatever you can and fucking run.
Yeah. They've proven with science that a good swift kick to the balls feels just as bad as a high-level contraction during pregnancy. So it should give you an idea of where you got to hit them at to get away.
Yeah. They basically got caught because two of their victims managed to get away alive. The first one, the police interviews and stuff didn't lead to any arrests. Like, they couldn't get a good enough description to actually find them. But the second one did. And they were able to arrest all four of them, right?
I learned the story of that, if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead and tell me.
A little further. Mm-hmm. So the first prostitute that they found alive, she gave a description of a late or mid-20s male by himself in a red van, and then which she got inside of. Because the inside of the vehicle is where they turn their trick, as a prostitute. Mm-hmm. So, and then that's when the individual would threaten them with force to disrobe, perform whatever act. And then he would force her to take pills. And then once the pills kicked in, that's when the heavy shit started happening.
Yeah.
So the first one, they got the description of the van and the person. The second one they found alive described the same exact van and said early 20s, male. So then the Chicago PD found a red van and pulled it over. They found out it was a work van for a carpenter.
Yeah. They were contractors.
Yeah. The guy driving it was one of the four in question. But he was like, no, I don't know anything about that. Let me take you to my boss. So then that's how they pretty much got all of them. They got him, the two of them in interviews, and then they just started pressing the driver because he was the weak one. And they were able to tell that he was afraid of his boss, so they used his fear to get him to squeal on everything. And that's when the whole house of cards fell. This Gecht fellow, he was sentenced to 3 60-year sentences and 1 30-year sentence. He's presently in Illinois corrections. And he will be released in 2042 when he's 89.
No, you won't.
You right. Edward Spitzer.
Yeah.
59 to 60, born in 58. He was resentenced to 6 life sentences plus more than 400 years for his crimes other than murder. He ain't going home.
Yeah.
Andrew Cocorialis, I guess.
Yeah.
Execution.
Cocorellis. Cocorelli.
He was given that lethal shot.
Mm-hmm.
Died in 99. Thomas Cocorialis. He was resentenced to 70 years, and Illinois' correction record shows a tentative parole date of 2019. Uh-oh. He's not going to get it.
No. Hey, quick sidebar, real quick. Here's the thing. This is the thing that I got to know. Mind you, this is pre-internet era. I feel like it'd almost be easier now. How do you manage to find 4 individuals who are completely and utterly okay with doing what they did?
Well, that's the interesting thing to talk about because pre-internet, now who was it that told that they were involved in Satanism?
Who was told?
How do we know?
Well, they referred to their to Geck's apartment as the Satanic Chapel.
Okay, so that's how they met in my mind.
So they had a mutual love of Satan.
I assume that they're and of course the Church of Satan would deny any affiliation.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I'm sure they were just fringe Satanists. They weren't your friendly neighborhood Satanist. They were fringe, kind of like ISIS.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, like the fringe outer lines of the religion. I'm sure they met at a church gathering.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, you like to fuck titties too, huh?
Yeah.
You ever tried making a hole in one?
You ever ate one before?
Let's hang out. What do you do? I'm a carpenter. I like to drive carpenter vans." And then they all were like, "Well, let's work together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else we can do together? Let's create holes and fuck them.
Yeah.
And do all sorts of debaucherous things to our dear Dark Lord Satan."
Yeah. Hail Satan.
I'm not sure that that's how it happened, but in my mind it makes sense.
I mean, I'm trying to just wrap my mind around the idea. Like, because, okay, like, you talk about serial killers. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Like, they're lone hunters, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to involve anybody else into their fucking schemes.
You probably don't want to be friends with a serial killer.
But they're like lone. They don't have. They can, for all intents and purposes. It seems like every time they catch a serial killer, nobody's like, "I saw that coming."
No, he was such a nice guy.
Oh my god, that dude used to, take my garbage cans out for me and
right.
fucking walk my dog when I was away and
yeah.
crazy shit like that, right?
You have no idea how close you were to getting cut up and thrown in a fucking basement.
Thank God you were nice to him.
Yeah, no shit.
You know what I mean? But, serial killers, they're not the smartest. I mean, FBI statistics could tell you that they're not technically smart, but they
John Wayne Gacy, right?
But even dogs don't shit where they eat.
Yeah. John Wayne Gacy, was he the one that put all the bodies in his basement?
Yeah, he was Pogo. Pogo the clown.
Man, fuck that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care who you are. If you ever trust a clown, then you and I can't be friends.
And I know another weird little tidbit. So it's like weird that, John Wayne Gacy was into like, weird serial killer endophilia shit and all that, and he was strange like that. Well, he alluded once that he did in fact have an accomplice. So it has been speculated that said accomplice could quite possibly have been Gecked.
Man.
So like I learned it from watching you.
Yeah. And you said he operated out of Gacy's business, didn't you? Or his building?
Well, he was he worked for he worked for Gacy.
Oh, I see. I got you.
Yeah. So, he worked for that company.
Yeah.
Casey ran.
I'm sure they didn't hang out at the same satanic temple, like his apartment or anything. I'm sure they didn't, they probably doing that.
No, of course not.
Church of Satan says that they're not affiliated.
Yeah. You get what you get with it. I mean, these guys, I still have trouble understanding how, you get 4 people together in the pre-internet age.
That's
who all have such a weird fetish for fucking killing prostitutes and cutting off their tit.
Debaucheries.
I
honestly can't think of another way that they met other than the Church of Satan. I have to assume that that's it.
I'm
not a detective, but
some things, like some crazy shit, you're like, well, you could see the writing on the wall. It was a ramp up to like whatever. Like take like Jonestown, just a sidebar real quick.
Yeah.
You take like Jonestown, like all these people, they're like, well, you know, we want to live outside of the United States, and the way we practice our religion is being infringed upon here in the U.S., so we're going to move somewhere else and do it. And, you know, you've got that, but that's a cult mentality, right? Like,
Yeah.
Jones is their fucking prophet, and then the U.S. government comes down, and he's like, I told you they were going to come.
Yeah.
And they're going to, you know, and then they killed fucking that congressman, and he's like, well, so we really don't have a choice now, you know, we killed that dude, so they're going to come after us now.
Blood in, blood out, bitch.
They're going to take your children, so go ahead and drink this
Drink
Kool-Aid.
it. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to end our little part on the Ripper Crew, one thing, I do need to make one exception. Our research into the Ripper Crew and the Narcosatanists kind of bled together, and I said that they called Gecht the Godfather. That was a Narcosatanist thing. I don't want anybody coming after me and being like, oh, well, actually.
Yeah.
My bad.
Correct your terms.
So, we're going to play this news clip for you real quick.
There was a group of men going around in a red van.
They'd go out and hunt for women.
To mutilate, kill, and remove their breasts for what they said were satanic rituals.
All four of them had the same desire.
They had the same pathology, which makes it such an extreme case.
He was the mastermind of this operation.
You know, this is the nature of evil.
What happened to these four guys?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That was the clip we found. So
Yeah.
there's that. You can find more about them if, we pretty much covered every single aspect of their.
Yeah, you can find more about them if you want.
If you want to know, like, what breast they got or what particular type of garage tool they use. But, we gave you the basics.
But the next one I wanted to talk about was a group called the Narcosatanists, or in Spanish, for our Spanish listeners out there, which I somehow doubt we have.
I'm sure we
I'm
do.
not saying we don't.
I've seen a few on the Instagrams.
But they obviously have to speak English because we do not redub this podcast in Spanish.
Absolutely not. Not that
Welcome back to Los Bones and Tubs.
It's not that we don't want to. It's just that we don't have enough Patreon money to do that yet. We don't have them anymore.
You know, the thing is, like, now I'm going to get off on the sidebar. Like, if we got so famous that, like, there were international versions of Bones and Tubs, like, in different countries and stuff, and they spoke different languages, but we'd have to find our literal, like, real-world equivalents in different countries.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, when we did that advertisement for the alternate universe Bjorns and Tirbs, the Norwegian ones.
They're out there.
Yeah.
I know they are.
Or I think they were Swedish. They were Swedish. The Bjorns and Tirbs.
Bjorns and Tirbs.
But Los Bones Ye Tubs.
Yeah.
But no, so anyways.
El Narco Diablo.
Yeah.
Is that what, are we somewhere near there?
Los Narcos. I fucked it up.
Got a hairball.
Los Narcos Satanicos.
Oh, okay.
There you go. They were a group that worked kind of along the U.S. border. They were in Mexico, but their big thing was they were drug runners, right?
Yeah.
And their leader, Adolfo de Jesus Costanzo. That's a nice name.
It is.
He was a Cuban American, and he was a big time drug dealer, right?
Yeah.
And he believed that through the power of Satan, he was able to make all of his money and deal all these drugs, right?
Yeah.
In order to do this properly, him and his group had to kill people and sacrifice them to Satan so that their drug deals continued to do well.
I'm not saying that that's not true, but I'm also not going to say that that's not a delusional cocaine thought. Mm-hmm. Does that sound like something you might come up with if you were heavy into coke binge?
I can't say one way or the other, but
I've
I
never
imagine
done cocaine, but
that if I was on I've seen a lot of movies for people on cocaine, and that's not the craziest idea I've seen manifest.
Yeah.
From a heavy cocaine binge.
Yeah.
But his followers called him the Godfather. There, I got it right. See, or
nice.
El Padrino. but
Costanzo.
but he led the cult with Sarah Eldrete, and they called her the godmother, La Madrina. But they did a lot of ritualistic killings, basically all through Mexico, and it didn't really get that much American attention, right? Like it did. Okay, here's the thing: they kind of did their thing for a while, and nobody, like, it was in Mexico, so nobody really, like. I hate saying this because I'm sounding entirely too much like a xenophobe right now, but nobody gave a shit because it was in Mexico.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's America for you.
Yeah. But they did start giving a shit when they killed an American student.
Wow. You start fucking with those white people. That's when you start making the news cycle.
I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way things are.
Yeah, we're not we're not here to say it's right or wrong. We're just saying.
Yeah. It's like I can't remember her name, but you remember that college student who got kidnapped in Belize and went missing, and like, you know, I'm sure there's like lots of kidnappings in Belize and the shit happens all the fucking time,
Right.
But nobody gave a shit about it because it wasn't a white.
Well, I mean, as much as it hurts your feelings, white people, you know, because it hurts my feelings. I'm white, so I have to assume we have the same feelings, but they have legitimate arguments, people of color, when they're talking, like, even you look at like the John Benet Ramseys, right? Or like the national stories. Like, how many black kids or Hispanic kids go missing every year and nobody talks about it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's a legitimate gripe right there.
I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
And that's the thing. Like,
Bones and Tubbs are on your side.
And, you know, I'm not going to fucking... I'm not a self-flagellator. You know what I
No,
mean?
I'm not going to wear a shirt made of hair, but I'm going to call it like I see it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and that's the thing I've always tried to get at is like, I'm not going to self-deprecate just because of, like...
We're so sorry.
Yeah.
No.
I'm so sorry.
We're not sorry.
I think we kind of talked about this on the Christopher Columbus show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But, so... But that's just the cold hard truth, though. Nobody gave a shit about all this, like, people going missing in Mexico and shit until it was, like, a white American who went missing on a trip to Mexico.
Yeah.
But they lived in a house, like, most of the stuff happened in a house in Rancho Santa Elena. It was in the desert. And, but they would, like, carry out these rituals on fellow rival drug dealers and all sorts of people. And they were getting huge shipments of cocaine and marijuana, by the way.
Yeah, getting that paper.
Like, I can imagine, like, it's just like a dingy, fucking nasty, greasy house.
Yeah.
Fucking human body parts everywhere. Giant mound of coke on the fucking kitchen table right next to a human skull.
Yeah.
With some fucking, like, a pentagram around it and some shit.
Of course.
You know, chickens walking around aimlessly.
They must.
That's the things I see in my head.
Yeah.
But so... On to the white guy.
Yeah.
So in 1989, they kidnapped a white student. Why do I keep saying white? I feel
White.
I feel like I'm flagellating right now.
Yeah. Whip yourself.
But he was a pre-med student named Mark Kilroy, outside of a Mexican bar. He was enjoying his spring break.
Not for very long.
And
wrong place, wrong time, Holmes.
They kidnapped him and they did their rituals, right?
Yeah.
Really, the Mexican police weren't going to do anything about it until fucking U.S. officials were like, they pressed him. Like, listen, Dick Licker, listen,
Yeah.
one of our precious white med students is missing. We need to, he went missing there. You need to find him right now. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why I imagine the conversation going.
Right, exactly. Now, I don't understand. This is another thing that has me curious about the ties to Satanism. But if you look into this Constanzo fella, right, born in Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
He was baptized Catholic. Mm-hmm. Served as an altar boy. So once again, I'm going to blame the Catholics because you know it all starts in the young.
Hey, and by the way, out there to a new listener, Miss Fulkerson.
Oh,
I don't care. I'll say it.
Hey,
she added us the other day,
yeah,
and she actually her spouse mentioned that she had a feather in her cap for Catholic conspiracy.
Okay, so
shout out to you real quick if you listen to the show.
We've been cooking one up for a really long time, so that's definitely in the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
But I will blame them because he was an altar boy in the Catholic faith. But also, he would accompany his mother on trips when he was younger, and they would go to Haiti to learn about voodoo. Because that's a great fucking idea to get your kid. Like, How many times have you ever thought, like, you know what? Jim's getting about old enough. It's time for us to go on vacation and learn about voodoo.
Time to learn about voodoo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's go learn about
fucking
black magic.
The family would return to Miami in 1972, and his stepfather died soon after, leaving the family with some monies. As a teenager, Constanzo became apprenticed to a local sorcerer and began to practice a religion called Palo Mayombe, which involves animal sacrifice. And I looked that up. Palo Mayombe, which my tight, bearded Caucasian mouth probably mispronounced.
It'll happen.
Is a popular religion amongst the Cubans and Central African slaves and their descendants who originated from the Congo Basin.
More to know.
In case you were interested.
Yeah.
Which involves animal sacrifice. His mother was remarried, and his new stepfather was involved in the religion and drug dealing. Constanzo and his mother were arrested numerous times for minor crimes like theft, vandalism, and shoplifting. He graduated high school but was expelled from prep school. He really enjoyed doing these, what they would refer to as expensive ritual sacrifices, involving chickens, goats, snakes, zebras.
Man, what kind of fucking...
Yeah.
I want to know, like, because, you could look up certain, like, grimoires and stuff like the Lesser Keys of Solomon and the Book of Abramelin and stuff like that. And they give, like, detailed, like, this is what you need for these things to happen, right? I want to see, like, what the equivalent exchange for sacrificing a zebra actually equals.
Well, it's got to be something special.
Man.
But that's not the worst thing that they sacrifice.
All right, continue.
For people that have fallen in love with animals and are only triggered by animal violence because society's made them not fear human sacrifice. Lion cubs. Yeah.
Triggered.
Yeah, no shit, right? Many of his clients were rich drug dealers and hitmen who enjoyed the violence of Constanzo's, quote, magical displays. He also attracted other rich members of Mexican society, including several high-ranking corrupt policemen. Deep breathing noise.
Yeah.
Who introduced him to the city's powerful narcotics cartels. Constanzo started to raid graveyards for human bones to put in his nananga, or cauldron. Before long, his cult decided that the spirits of the dead that resides in the nananga would be stronger, providing the cult more powerful protection, with live human sacrifices, instead of old bones.
Yeah.
More than 20 victims whose mutilated bodies were found in and around Mexico City. This process escalated until Constanzo eventually decided that the nananga needed more power of a brain from an American student.
Yeah.
The next step leading to the murk of Mark Kilroy.
He needed a good brain, a smart brain.
The devil was like, we need a Caucasian brain from a college student on vacation.
Make sure he's white.
Yeah. Nananga.
But, so yeah, basically when the cops showed up, they found his nananga.
Nananga. I can't stop. Those letters should not make a mouth noise.
But it basically was full of fucking bones and gross shit and a dead cat.
Imagine how fucking terrible that place smelled.
Oh my god.
Jesus, wept.
That goes back. That takes me back to our first episode where we're talking about zombie smells.
If I had control of a marketing and advertisement company, I would make commercials for Lysol, and I would use those images.
You remember those Febreze commercials they did a few years ago where they blindfold somebody and they'd be like, it's like in a dingy room like with some nasty shit in it, and they'd be like, what does it smell like? Oh, it smells pretty good.
It smells like a fucking Nananga in here.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be a good Halloween Febreze commercial. They're like, they have someone blindfolded and they're like, what do you smell? It smells like lilacs in here.
Yeah.
And then they pull the mask off. There's a fucking cauldron full of human bones and nasty shit.
Somebody's currently fucking somebody's tit inside of a Nananga in the room in front of him.
He's like, wow, I didn't even smell that. And all of a sudden you just see like an axe get buried into his fucking neck. Like,
yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Febreze.
Yeah, Febreze. This episode has been brought to you by Febreze.
No, we are not getting any of that money. Oh, God.
But yeah, so, they find this fucking cauldron full of fucking human brains and cat, Probably a zebra. It sounds like satanic rituals are kind of an exact science. Like, They're just like, fuck it, whatever goes in there. It's like when you're cooking burgers on the grill.
Yeah.
And you have a beer in your hand and you just pour beer all over the burgers. You're like,
These
fuck it.
burgers are really good. What's your secret?
You're like, fuck it, they're beer burgers now. You know what I mean? Like
98% beer, 2% backwash.
Little did you know, that was some magic performed on those burgers.
Yeah. I almost, not to just hop around like I warned them we would do, as we always do, but back to Mark Kilroy. I almost wonder if anybody would have gave a fuck about him if he was just some regular, like if you or I in high school or college went on a trip to Mexico, like they probably wouldn't have gave a fuck.
No.
But because he was like a rich pre-med student, do you think that has any...
Do you think... Oh, definitely. Because if he's got like rich family that are like, oh, our baby boy went missing.
Well, he might have been pre-med, but he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
To be...
Like,
swayed
here's the thing.
into
This dude, the Godfather, could have kept probably plying his trade for another, 20 years had he not gone after a rich white med student.
Yeah.
Because, if he would have gone up to some scuzzy guy, people disappear all the time. I mean, we've had, 3 episodes about mysterious disappearances. People disappear all the time, and nobody gives a shit about it.
No.
It's
always forgotten about eventually. I don't know about you, but... even, and it might just be my privilege leaking through, but every time my mom would take me on vacation and we would go and learn about voodoo, she would always tell me, never trust an Anenga.
Yeah.
If it tells you to go kidnap a rich pre-med student,
don't trust it.
That's why we put zebras in there.
Yeah. God.
So clearly it's his mom's fault.
Exactly.
I blame the Catholics and poor parenting.
Yeah. That's Narcosatanists in a nutshell,
Another interesting mirror, if you guys want to look into another little rabbit hole, you can find some information on YouTube's and the Googles about MS-13 or Mala Salvatrucha. Mm-hmm. It's a gang that was created in either Mexico or California. The stories flop.
That was in Guatemala or something like that.
Well, it was in response to Guatemalan expats or warfighters.
Copy.
But a lot of them nowadays will perform satanic rituals for the same reason of satanic protection.
What's weird is you kind of hear stories like that too, where you hear about them kidnapping people and torturing them.
Yeah.
And doing shit to their bodies.
Well, they fully believe, and I didn't know that Palomalo or Palom, whatever the fuck it was, more of an African slave religion, but a lot of these voodoo, Palomayo, whatever it was, and then it all ties into heavy Catholic. There's some weird fucking mixture.
Yeah.
And they all believe in satanic protection when involved in drug running and crime.
If you look at the two different groups, I say there's one thing that, first of all, if you look at Satanism, a lot of their stuff is inverted Catholic ritual.
Right.
Right. Because, they can't create anything of their own.
No, they can only twist and pervert.
Exactly. But you look at it, they all share the same thing where it's they have a very gaudy aesthetic.
Yeah.
This is just coming from the standpoint of my fashion sense and my austeric ways.
Yeah.
Bleeding through. But I find all of their rituals and ceremonies to be excessive and
flashy.
Gaudy.
Yeah.
A little bit, I would go on to say maybe a little bougie.
A little bougie, yeah.
Your Nanenga looks a little fucking extra there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sounds like you're charging up for a helicopter ride.
Is it made of copper? Mm. Is that pure copper right there?
Bouge ass.
Oh my God!
With your bouge ass.
How much did you spend on that Nanenga?
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and then in closing in this episode, I kind of want to talk about how in hindsight, there was a time in the 80s that they called the Satanic Panic, right?
Yeah.
And both of these stories kind of come out of that time. There's a couple more. There was one about a preschool that the two people who ran it were accused of child abuse.
Yeah.
They were both absolved of it, of course.
Of course.
But
fake news.
But there was a lot of satanic stories that came out of the 80s, and then it all got hushed, and they said it was all a hoax, and that it was the media drumming it up, and da-da-da-da-da, right? Mm-hmm. I would like to close this episode with the notion that maybe some of it was made up, but I think there might be some proof in that pudding.
Oh, most assuredly.
And that the notion that a lot of it was deemed a hoax or fake was kind of like PR spin to try to save themselves from exposure.
Yeah, and again, we've gone full circle with the Satanic Panic era because that touches on what we've mentioned before. Everybody needs to go to YouTube. Okay? Whenever you're not driving and whenever it's safe to do so, type in Ted Gunderson, satanic interview.
Yeah.
Because that was all during the same time frame. And it shows you that this satanic infiltration, if you will, has reached the highest levels of our very own government. Government. But it's fine. It's not. It's fake. Clearly, it's fake. There's no problem.
We're just hem-hawing about shit that's not even real.
Those two guys are just getting together and making podcasts about stuff that's not real.
Yeah.
Or it's real.
Or it's real.
Or it's all real.
And the ones that got out in the 80s were like ones that managed to seep through. And people came out and said, these motherfuckers are doing nasty shit behind the scenes.
Stinks like an Ananga in there.
Yeah, right? But yeah.
Well.
I think that about wraps it up with the episode.
It does. I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the Bones and Tubs Instagram. If you go to Instagram.com/Bones and Tubs, hit that follow button. That's where we do all of our tastiest memes. We do show updates there, so you know when the new episodes come out. You can chat with us if you hit us up in the DMs, because I have made virtually a part-time job out of contacting everyone that makes contact with me.
Yeah.
Check the link in our description if you're interested in any Bones and Tubs shirts or any other thing that you could imagine Bones and Tubs related. We've got our TeePublic link up there. BonesandTubs.com. It's undergoing some changes. Squarespace has summarily raped our analytics. We were doing crazy numbers, which I'm sure we still are.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We don't know anymore.
I actually have some changes. I fucked up some of the information. Remember that Veterans Day cookout that I mentioned a couple episodes ago? Yeah, I had messed some things up. Sometimes I'm just a terrible podcaster.
Well, we're terrible people, so it makes sense.
Okay, so one thing I messed up was I said it was at the Civitan, but I was wrong on that. It's actually at Joyce Park.
Okay.
It's being hosted by the Civitan.
Yeah.
And he changed the name of his company to Infidel Custom Design, not Infidel Custom Apparel.
Okay, well, #corrections.
Yes, corrections. They needed to be done.
Posterity.
And I did them. It's still on Saturday, November 10th at noon at Joyce Park.
Come on out there. Get yourself some meat.
Yeah.
You know?
So we'd like to thank y'all for listening.
We would like to thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Twice. Because he said it and then I said it.
And then we both said it.
Keep telling your friends about us.
Yeah.
Share the word of the Bones and Tubs podcast evangel.
Yeah, you said go check out. You said Instagram already.
Instagram,
Facebook.
We're on Facebook, but fuck Facebook.
Yeah, fuck Facebook.
We're on One Way, Gab.ai. If you guys are on there, that's the
go
new.
Check us out on there.
That's the new wave.
Go check out Ryan Simpson's new album.
Yeah, I'm gonna be putting some of his music in the show.
Hell yeah!
I don't know if I want to change the intro. I like the intro.
Yeah, but we hope you have a spooky week.
Yeah.
And we hope your month continues to be spooky.
Keep your eyes on the prize. That October surprise is still on the horizon.
Yeah. We'll be coming back to you next week with another spooky episode.
Spooky, unless our lawyer tells us to get rid of that word.
Maybe we'll have a guest on the next episode. I don't know.
We've been waiting on the doctor to bring his punk ass out of the cave.
That's what I'm trying to get is the doctor back for a show. He's been too long. He needs to come back.
I know he's listening.
Yeah.
I know he's listening right now.
He needs to come back and do a show with us
during the daytime. You know, that's what we worked out. That's what we do.
Hell, I'd even be cool with Aaron the Red to come back.
Yeah, where are you guys at?
Yeah,
we're just a text away.
Radio silence.
We just don't make contact.
Yeah, it's true. But we'd like to thank y'all for listening. We hope you have a good week.
We love you.
We really do.
neighbors or our children.